thought about a gesture, something people do that feels, well, incredibly ancient? Older than thought, older even than memory itself.
Hmm. Like something deeply ingrained in us.
Exactly. So today we're going to explore that kind of idea. We're doing a deep dive into a really profound meditation by Z.T. Tosha called The Sower and the Ear of Grain.
Right. And it's not really about farming, is it? It takes this, familiar image, the sower scattering seed, and unpacks it.
It really does. He turns it into this amazing tapestry of insights
Hmm.
about growth, death, and, well, something much bigger, transcendence.
Yeah. And our goal here in this deep dive is basically to pull out the core ideas, the surprising links Tosha makes, sort of a shortcut into this material, which can be dense, but it's so rewarding.
We want to help you get not just what he's saying, but what it might actually mean for you on a personal level.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's start with the sower figure. Usually we picture a farmer, right? Out in the field, planting. But Tosha sees something more. How does he make this everyday act so symbolic?
Well, what Tosha points out is that this figure, this sower, isn't just working the land, they're moving between sky and earth. The gesture itself, scattering seed, is both very human and symbolic.
Okay.
He says the sower walks a threshold. And in doing that, they're not just planting, wheat or whatever.
Mm.
They're planting something less visible and far more dangerous.
Dangerous. How so?
Possibility of inner awakening.
Yeah.
And that core idea that the gesture is older than thought, older than memory, suggests it's something really primal, almost instinctual.
Wow. Older than thought. That's quite an idea. It makes you think differently about the act itself, about sowing. We usually link sowing with, starting something,
Yeah.
with hope, planting for the future.
Right, the beginning of growth.
But Tosha, he seems to push back against that idea.
Oh, absolutely. He flips it completely. For Tosha, sowing isn't this hopeful start. It's actually an act of profound surrender.
Surrender. Yeah.
To lose something, to give it up to a darkness without guarantee. Think about that. Scattering the unseen into the unpromised.
No guarantee. That's tough.
It really is. It demands this yielding.
Mm-hmm.
Tosha says it has less to do with hope and more to do with yielding. It really challenges our need for control, for knowing the outcome.
That concept of surrender, of
Yeah.
just letting go without knowing, that's powerful. It really makes you wonder what in your own life requires that kind of yielding that comes up for you, listener. And thinking about where these deeper truths actually land, Tosha talks about them drifting like seeds unsummoned across an interior silence. They don't come with an explanation, he says. They just arrive with gravity. They fall.
And that brings up a really critical point. It's not about figuring it out logically. The key thing, Tosha says, is the condition of the heart, that invisible soil. That's what decides if these truths take root or just disappear.
The inner soil, our receptivity.
Exactly, our inner landscape. And he notes some of these inner fields might stay untilled for years, some maybe always.
So it's not just about hearing truth, it's about preparing the ground inside ourselves, which raises the question, how do we cultivate that inner soil? How do we make it fertile?
Yeah, how do we do that?
Because, we're often told growth is about getting more.
Yeah.
More knowledge, building things up, accumulation. But Tosha says something totally different. He says, we grow by decay.
Right. It sounds like a paradox.
It really does.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that? Growing by decay.
It completely shifts how we think about progress, doesn't it? Growth by decay means giving up the borrowed structures, like letting go of the ideas and identities we've just picked up along the way.
Okay.
It means becoming hollow enough for something real to resonate inside. Think about the actual seed metaphor again. The seed dies, the form falls, but then the soul, if it listens, begins to remember.
Begins to remember, not learn.
Exactly. This links right back to ancient ideas,
Right.
like Plato's concept of anamnesis.
Yeah.
The soul doesn't learn new stuff. It recollects what it somehow already knew. It falls into form, like the seed falling into the soil.
Oh, I see.
Not to be trapped, but to be transformed. That's the key. And Tosha calls this the architecture of return hidden inside loss.
The architecture of return hidden inside loss. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It reframes loss completely, doesn't it? Not as an end, but as part of a hidden structure.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the grain itself, Tosha presents it not just as, food, but as a ritual, carrying a kind of law no one wants to speak aloud. What lives must fall, what rises must first disappear.
Oof, that's stark.
It is. And it's striking how this pattern shows up everywhere, isn't it? He mentions figures like Osiris, Attis, Dionysus, Christ, even Harem Abiff from Masonic lore, All these stories of descent. What do you think Tosha's pointing to there? What's the universal thing?
Well, I think he's highlighting that this descent isn't about defeat. It's not failure. It's a descent into depth.
Depth. Very
It's
good.
the necessary burial before bloom, the silence before the song that can't be written. This pattern, popping up across so many cultures, suggests it's just fundamental, a basic rhythm of life maybe, a condition for real transformation.
A fundamental rhythm. Yeah, that resonates. And thinking about that rhythm makes the sower figure even more mysterious, actually. Tosha writes, maybe he doesn't know anything at all. Maybe he simply accepts that his gesture is both futile and necessary.
That's a powerful paradox, isn't it? Futile and necessary.
What does that acceptance really signify, do you think?
It's fascinating. It points to this incredible act of trust. Trust in a process that's bigger than the individual, accepting you won't see the result. He says he will never see what the seed becomes, and that this is precisely why he sows it. That's the core of it, I think. Sowing without guarantee. For a harvest you might never witness, but doing it anyway.
That really is a leap of faith. And it makes me wonder, listener, what do you sow in your life without knowing the outcome? Where do you just trust the process?
Yeah, good question.
And when we're talking about things that are hard to explain directly, Tosha says symbols, like the grain, do not explain. They echo. He says they aren't maps, they are thresholds. That really challenges how we usually think about meaning, right?
It completely does.
Right.
You don't follow a threshold like a map, you fall through it. The grain itself, he says, contains no doctrine, only a vibration.
A vibration.
Yeah, quiet, persistent, that something in us has not yet died properly. The idea is that symbols don't give you answers. They invite you into a different state, a transformation through experiencing them.
I see. It's experiential.
And this power isn't just in big recognized symbols. Tosha talks about just looking at ordinary things. A walnut, a fallen petal, a bit of ash.
Right. And he shares that really evocative line, the walnut holds the universe and I hold the walnut. He clarifies it's not to sound impressive or even something to believe in. It's to confess what I feel in moments when thought falls silent and something else not me starts watching through my eyes.
That's powerful. It's about that direct, almost visceral experience, beyond words, beyond concepts, where something totally ordinary becomes a doorway.
Yeah, a threshold.
And pulling back to the bigger picture, Tosha connects these feelings, these insights, to ancient philosophies. He mentions the Stoics and their logos, Plotinus talking about the soul's descent, Heraclitus, the whole fire becoming earth, earth becoming fire cycle.
So different traditions, but maybe pointing towards the same pattern.
Exactly. Maybe all pointing, as Tosha suggests, to this same unspeakable pattern. Movement, dissolution, return. Not necessarily progress in a straight line, not enlightenment as a final state, just rhythm.
Rhythm. Movement, dissolution, return, that cycle again.
And the seed, in its simple existence, embodies that rhythm perfectly. It doesn't strive, it submits.
It submits.
And somehow, that is what makes it rise. It's a lesson in allowing, not forcing, in yielding.
So wrapping up the grains lesson, what's the ultimate teaching there?
Well, Tosha says it teaches nothing. It simply lives its law, which is profound in itself. It does not preach surrender. It is surrender. It does not announce resurrection. It becomes it.
Wow. So the lesson isn't in words. It's in the being of the grain.
Precisely. The grain embodies the whole cycle. So the challenge for us, if we want to follow that pattern, is maybe to forget the words and descend ourselves.
Let go of the concepts.
Yeah. Let the old forms die. Let the inner temple collapse. And just trust without proof that something buried knows when to awaken.
Trusting that buried part. Because, as he puts it, not all darkness is absence. Some is gestation.
Exactly. It's a place where things are forming, not just a void. A place of potential.
So really, this whole deep dive, it wasn't about finding neat answers or some kind of system, was it?
No, not at all. I think it was more about understanding a certain posture, a way of holding ourselves in the world.
A posture. I like that. And what does that posture look like?
To live as fertile ground, to be open to receive what cannot be taught, to allow that cycle, that spirit maybe, to descend, die, and rise within us.
Until the harvest isn't just wheat, but something deeper.
Yeah. Something wordless, Tosha says. Something that remembers light before it had a name.
That leaves us with a pretty powerful thought to sit with. What does it mean for you, listener, to be the one willing to be sown? To fall into life's experiences not as some kind of punishment, but as a passage.
And through that passage, maybe finally touch what was never lost to begin with.
Definitely something to reflect on.